Hello.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show. I'm your host, Diana Belleros, award-winning and best-selling author, Fahrenheit, The Journey of Transformation and Delight Within. You can find out more about me on my website, dianabelleros.com, as well as download today's podcast and our past podcasts. Please subscribe. And if you want to talk to my guest today, the phone number is 1-347-324-3714. You're more than welcome to ask us questions. Let's share our thoughts, feelings, especially right now during what we are all experiencing. And I know this is going to be over soon, so stay healthy, stay happy, and do whatever it takes to do things that are going to occupy you so you don't have to think a lot about the negative things. So today we have a new guest. Her name is Mrs. Fun. She plays in jazz, complex, sophisticated, and adventurous. Their music is a unique blend of off-center jazz, auto-funk, spoken word rap, and their own blend of neo-cabaret, intelligent lyrics, stellar musicianship, and a dynamic stage presence are hallmarks of their music. And she's with us today. So welcome, Mrs. Fun. I love the name. I hope everybody's laughing right now.
Oh, thank you, Diana. Yeah. Mrs. Fun is the name of the group, and so my name is Connie, and I play keyboards, keyboard, bass, vocals, and also write the music. So there are just two of us in the group, myself and Kim Zick on drums, and so I usually do all interviews and represent both of us. We've been performing for 32 years, and I've known Kim since the 7th grade, so we know each other very well. We met in a drum class.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, good. All good. Yeah. So this Truth CD is probably the most complex musically of the pieces that I've ever written. And it was deliberate to do that, to challenge the listening audience, challenge them musically. It's very difficult music and complex in a sort of a jazz and funk, format.
Oh.
So, I'll probably, it'll be hard for me as a writer to kind of top this one down the road, but it's, we're on a continuum, and our goal always, and it has been for our whole life, is to just continue trying to strive to be the best musicians we can be, to be the best at what we do. And that's a lifelong study and practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Your music sounds like it's very unique, innovation and everything new, something which is amazing. That's what we need. People want to hear something new, something more creative, not the same thing all over again, And I love jazz, and I was listening to your CD. It's incredible for the listeners. Buy the CD. I definitely recommend it because it's incredible, and I love jazz so much.
Oh, good.
I love jazz. I used to go. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's incredible, and you have been together for so long, and this helps a lot, definitely. Because you got to know each other and everything, and you can collaborate.
Yes, and
That's
what's
incredible.
interesting is because there are just two of us, and so much of within each piece is very improvisational. That's how we started the group. We said improvisation would be within every song, like a good percentage of it. So I write the themes, and then we solo. But because there's only two of us, and I'm playing keyboard, bass, and keyboards, a lot of times I can go wherever I want to go in different keys and stretch it out. And really the nonverbal communication that Kim and I have is pretty extraordinary. So we pretty much know what's going to happen, and even though it's improvisational, it's spontaneous. But playing together and working together has proven that successful in that area. So we met in 7th grade in a drum class. I was there first, and Kim joined in a couple weeks after the class started, and she just really took off with the drums. She was playing flute before that, but then switched, and drums have been her thing for the rest of her life, which she, of course, plays every day a lot, and we practice, weekly. And now during the pandemic, I'm actually using this time to write more music for us for down the road. Once we start performing again in public, when the pandemic simmers down, we'll have at least a half a dozen new pieces, from the truth, so we'll continue performing those, but we'll have new pieces to add on. So that's how I'm going to use. I'm using my time that way right now.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of creative people are so happy.
Yeah,
because they have time to do.
Yeah, we don't really get a lot of downtime to write and practice. So I find myself doing a lot of the writing after the day is done. If we don't have a gig on that night, I'll spend my evening, because it's usually things are calmer, and that's how I'll spend the nighttime, is writing more music. So some of the songs on Truth, actually, there's a photo on the back of the CD that it shows us that we're in a jazz club in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And on the music stand in between us is Herbie Hancock Headhunters. And that was actually very inspirational for me at that time to do some of the writing that I wrote for Truth, because this particular club did a record session. So you would pick a jazz recording that you wanted to cover, and Kim chose Herbie Hancock Headhunters, which is a really hard recording to cover with just two people. So, but we did it, and that was actually several years ago. So that was inspirational for me to write some of the pieces that you hear on Truth.
Yeah.
For example,
yourself sometimes. You're right.
I'm sorry.
It's nice to stretch yourself. You surprise yourself what you're capable of, by exploring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing. A lot of people should do that, because when you go over it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can do even more and more and more. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, people really get real caught up in their daily routines, and it's important to take time just to sit and do a little meditation or reflect on what you're grateful for, or just take a little bit of that time. And being a musician, when you're performing, time is completely different. It's not like minutes on a clock. It's all just, it's sort of transformative, because it's, you're in that moment. And it's so important for all of us humans to, at least at some point during their day, be in the present moment. And that's actually what track 2 is about. The process is the purpose. And one of the lines in there is living in the pulse of the present moment. And so that's what, we're fortunate as musicians to be able to have that aspect of time.
Yeah.
A musical
absolutely.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us more about your CD, Mrs. Fun, and kind of tell just a little bit for each song what is the message behind it?
Sure, and quite a few of them are instrumental. So, like track 1 is called 19, and that inspiration was Stanley Jordan, who's a jazz guitarist and an absolute wizard. We've performed with him many times, and he came through Milwaukee a couple years ago, and so we played with him, and I had written 19, but it had no title, and Stanley and I did an interview, and I asked Stanley when we had seen him before. I thought it was only like 5 years. He said, no, it was actually 19 years ago. And I said, really? And then I asked him if he would play that song with us. It had no title. And he said, sure. So he learned it, and we played it together that night, and I called it 19. And that's kind of a little tribute to Stanley and our connection with Stanley. Process is the Purpose is kind of self-explanatory. That's track 2, and that just talks about, like I said, like living in the pulse of the present moment. Talks about, minds racing, and that, it starts with clock ticking at a hot pace. The mind charges on in a foot race. Always making progress, got to get there. So it's really written, I realized in my life when I, years ago that I was pretty much going from A to Z, like, when are we going to get to this next gig, or not really appreciating or being in the moment. So I've learned that in time, to be appreciative of every moment, and that's what that song's about. Track 3 is called Tula's Turnaround, and Tula was a cat that Kim had, and so the inspiration on that one comes from an animal. And the song kind of sounds like how Tula was. Silent Mist is a writing that I did. It's kind of a thought-provoking writing about wondering and wandering, and I recited it over Antonio Carlos Jobim's song "How Insensitive." So the music is his, and then the writing, the poem or the lyric writing is mine. Then we did a cover. We always put at least one cover song on each CD. This time we put 2. Track 5 is Soulful Strut, which was very popular decades ago, and it came out in 2 versions. One, and this one is the instrumental version. Then there was a version with a lyric, and the instrumental version ended up being the more popular one, which is rather unique and slightly unusual, so we put that song on there. Track 6, Zavano, that's a song I wrote in honor of Joseph Zavano, who was involved with Weather Report and that jazz group, and did some writing of some nice songs, so I wrote that for him. I Don't Want to Know Your Name is, I don't know, there's no meaning behind that except that I just thought it was a neat thing to talk about someone that you don't really want to know who they are. That's all there is to that one. It's not about anyone in particular. Track 8 is another cover, Light My Fire, which of course many people know. The Doors did that. Track 9 is called House Party, and that's just a funky techno track that I have a patch on my keyboard called House Party, so I just wrote the song around it. Track 10 is called Orange Grove, and we did some recording with Martha Davis of the Motels at her place, which was in the Orange Grove, in Orange County, in an orange grove in California. So that's called Orange Grove, kind of in tribute to Martha. Track 11 is called Spaceport / Pinocchio. And we only use a few lines of Pinocchio, that's the Wayne Shorter tune, over, a very spacey keyboard sound that, once again, that was just a patch on my keyboard called Spaceport, so I wrote a song around it. 12 is Let Me Live My Lie. That was written decades ago, and we finally found a place for it. It starts by saying, don't sit up on the top of your pedestal just looking down on us as if we're spectacles. We don't need your eye of approval. My glass might appear empty, but my thoughts are full. That's based on a show we did in Austin, Texas, and it was decades ago, and the climate now is a little different, but there was there was quite a bit of sexism going on at that time, and we were being made, as women performing, we were kind of being made fun of by some guys that were standing at the bar who were Blue Note recording artists. So I wrote that song, to hope in hopes that things would improve, and they have. Calm Before the Storm is kind of just a zen song that keeps repeating, this is the calm before the storm. And that's all the lyric is. And so we had a small group of singers ranging from age 17 to 60 singing with me on that. And that's the only line in the song. And so it's kind of like our zen song. And in between the line, there's just music, improvised music being played. So, and some people that have since purchased Truth think that I was some sort of psychic, that it had to do with the pandemic, but it doesn't. They thought I knew that the pandemic was coming, calm before the storm, but no, that's not what that's about. So
people assume quickly.
Yep. So we still sell CDs, old school, through our Funtime Records, P.O. Box 71211 in Milwaukee, 53211. And they're $15, and we do it old school. Checks are made to Kim Zick, and Z-I-C-K, and then we send it, and it's $15, and it includes shipping and handling. Otherwise, now it's on Spotify and most digital, formats. So we've combined the old school and the new school to get our recording out there. And that's the whole recording. I just went through each track.
Great. Can you share the website where they can get in touch with you, learn more about you, and eventually invite you?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just mrsfun.com. So www.mrsfun.com.
So, what are your plans after the pandemic? What are you going to do after everything is already gone? What are your plans?
Well,
for
you
the
know
future?
What, Diana, there's so much uncertainty at this point about how live performances will be, because there are large groups of people in our audience, and I don't know how that's going to work with social distancing and everything. I'm hoping that, of course, eventually we'll get back to as normal as we can be and have live shows again. We had just right before our governor ordered the safer at home, I had my last booking that I did was with Summerfest, which is in Milwaukee. It's the largest music festival in the world, and we had just booked our headlining slot, and now they didn't cancel. They just postponed it to September. So we're hoping that one will still go on, and we'll still keep our headlining slot on that festival. The rest of the festivals that we play this summer, quite a few of them have just canceled until the summer of 2021. They're not even going to try to reschedule. It's just there's just so much involved with booking groups, and vendors and everything for them to do that. So we're hoping that some of the, concert series that we were scheduled to do, there are a couple jazz concert series in the region. We were scheduled, one of them already rescheduled for the same date in 2021. So that's what I'm seeing is a little bit of a trend for events that were in April, March, at the end of March and April. And now I guess we'll just have to see how we come out of this. And we did get a call a couple days ago for a concert festival in Madison, Wisconsin in August. So, of course, they're saying depending on what the events that around the virus, but that was a hopeful booking. And we'll be playing like right in front of the iguanas, and if all goes well, we'll be back to it. Yeah. So
that's amazing. That's
yeah,
very good. Yes, wonderful.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that things in time will resume. It's just very important for everyone to hear live music and to be able to experience that. And this is just a strange time.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts about the coronavirus? What you can tell the people who are staying home and eventually listening, or they're going to listen to the show after we finish the show? What exactly you want to tell them? Because a lot of people are depressed, they experience anxiety and everything else.
Yes. And that's possible, but we're all with each other, really, in thought and spirit. And one thing that everyone can do is take a little time to appreciate all the things that they have around them, family, friends, and just feel grateful. And some people suggest writing a gratitude list. I don't write lists down. I just reflect and feel and just make a mental note. What am I grateful for? And that's a really positive thing to do. And stay safe. Eat well. And I've noticed around my neighborhood a lot of people are walking, and walking is very, very good. Sorts out your thoughts, and you get moving. So if we just all remember to eat well, keep moving, be grateful for what we do have, and we'll all get through this. I think the human spirit is extremely strong. I just believe in the human spirit. So I think we'll come out of this maybe even stronger, more connected, maybe even healthier as a result of this. It's like a huge reset button to once again just to it's just forced us to be isolated and have to think about some things. So this could make us all stronger. Absolutely.
People always have time for themselves, because the things were going like really, really fast.
Yes.
And everybody's running. I describe it like a chicken without a head, doing this, doing that. Never paid attention on how they feel, who they are, how they interact with others. That was just something like we needed. We need it. So,
I think you're right. I think that's what's going to happen with some people who haven't had the mindfulness maybe that maybe they'll accomplish during this time, that we're almost forced to be that way. So I am very hopeful that people will use this time for that, for positivity and mindfulness, and so that the outcome is strong and good for everyone.
Yeah, and spend some time with family, with play with your children, and do some creative work. I have seen people, they're coming back to their childhood and remembering who they are, doing painting, which is incredible. It kind of soothes the soul, makes you feel good for yourself, and when you feel good for yourself, then you be able to connect with others differently, and you're not going to be negative constantly, and you're going to rest finally. So because life is not like running constantly, right?
Right. Exactly. We've been forced to sit down and think and be, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad to have a time out, just a slowing down of our minds and our, the rat race that we feel like we're in sometimes, just to keep going. And that's why I'm hopeful that people will take the time and practice mindfulness and just in gratitude, et cetera. Like I said, that would be a really nice, positive thing that we could all do.
Absolutely. Do you do meditation?
I'm not proactively, but I feel like I do, just because I take. I've read a lot of Deepak Chopra's books, and I've taken suggestions from his books, and one of them that works very well for me, I mentioned earlier in the show, was to take every day to take time to commune with nature, just be in nature and be silent in nature and listen to, and to me it's very musical. As a musician, I find nature to be very musical. So there's music in nature, and that helps calm my mind, and I believe that is absolutely meditative. So, yes. I guess my answer really is yes, I do. And now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, see, you just the music, you listen to nature, you listen to everything what's going on around, every noise, and with the nature, something we lost this connection because we are always on this phone, on this computer and stuff like this. But it's really important. It's recharging you. You feel so good for yourself, and you get rid of everything that is hurting you. All these thoughts, all these chit-chat in your head that never stops and never helps you for anything.
Mhm. Yes, you are correct, and it's a good time to do that because we all know, once we get back to our regular schedules, it's even we'll have to take the time during our busy schedules to remind ourselves of what we had to do when we were isolated, and the thought, the mindfulness that has to be involved now that we're just in because of the situation, but to keep that with us, to keep that mindfulness and thoughtfulness and just gratitude and everything moving forward once we do get back into our regular routines, where that, like you said, we can get consumed with all of that and forget about the simple things that help us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you tell us again where people can find your music and buy a CD and how to buy it?
Sure. We, like I said, have combined old school and new school. So old school is you can get a CD if you send $15 in a check written to Kim Zick, who's the drummer in the band, and you can send it to Funtime Records, P.O. Box 71211 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53211. That's the old school. The new school is Spotify and most digital formats. Its truth is available. Yeah.
So we're at the end of the show. We have about 1 minute. Is there anything you would like to share with the listeners today?
Well, thank you is what I'd like to say, because we've toured all over the United States and have met some amazing people who have come to our shows, and it's always been a real pleasure no matter where we've been. Austin, Nashville, California, anywhere, the East Coast. It's just been really great, and we've been doing this for quite a long time. So we've met amazing people, and we've been connected and have met amazing musicians that, if we're fortunate enough, will end up in the same city together and can see each other. We don't see them. We don't see a lot of the artists, a lot, but like I'd mentioned in the show this summer in August, we'll see our friends, the Iguanas, and we've done quite a bit of touring and recording with Indigo Girls and some with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, Victor Wooten, just a bunch of artists that are, and Stanley, who I mentioned earlier, Stanley Jordan, just quite a few of them that are just remarkable humans, and always a pleasure to be with them. But the people that come to the shows, that's just thank you, a big thank you. And
thank you so much for being on my yeah.
I was just going to say, at this time, since we're not out in public performing, getting our Truth CD is probably the next best thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Having time to prepare for the next CD, writing more songs, more music to make people happy, to make them forget about what happened.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a continuum with writing, and that's what I'm actually step that up now because I can, and I'll be writing quite a bit during this time, and then we'll be ready to go out and do another one, another recording.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on my show. We have time. Thank you for the listeners who were with us. Well, Blog Talk Radio. Please subscribe and let me know what kind of a topic you want me to cover.
Well, I thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a wonderful day. I wish you best of luck, and it was a pleasure having you on my show.
It was a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.